Hello, everyone. I hope that all of you are doing well out there because of all this crazy pandemic mess and the COVID 19. I hope that all of you are practicing social distancing. Please, please, please practice social distancing. Cancel all future dick and or pussy and or non-binary genital appointments. It can wait, and if it cannot wait, if you are just desperate, go to adamandeve.com, but do not invite anybody in your house. Protect your space and just keep yourself healthy. Please, please, please do that. All right? Cool. All right, but yes, I hope that all of you are keeping yourself safe out here, and I hope that you are happy to hear my voice again. I took another long hiatus, and I do apologize for that. But to keep the reasoning very short, I have been having some health issues, so that has also mentally kind of fucked me up. So I'm not dying or anything, and I do not have the coronavirus. So don't worry about me. You don't have to give me your condolences in the comments or anything like that. Like, I'm perfectly fine. I'm just letting you know that something has been going on. So yeah, it's been a lot to deal with, but I'm cool. I'm cool. You know, I'll still be joking around and whatnot, and you guys will probably forget about it by the end of the video, anyways. So I am finally back, and today in this video, I am here to officially unveil my baby, my podcast. Unfortunately, it is not going to be the first episode. That is going to come later in the month, and I promise you that it's going to come later in the month. If it does not come later in the month, then I'm giving one of you permission to go Kathy Bates on me. And if you have never seen Misery before, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, if you don't have a queasy stomach, then just look up Misery scene, and it probably is going to be the first one on YouTube that you see, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But yes, the podcast will be coming later in the month. But today, I just want to give you guys some details on the podcast, such as my official name change, the official podcast name, the format of the podcast, and also what still needs to be done. So hopefully, we can get this all done in less than 10 minutes. But y'all know that I like to ramble and I like to talk. Hence why I'm doing a podcast. But okay, let's get into first my official name change. So, for those of you who are new to this channel and who have not known me for long, I have been going under the name Japhanie Quinn for about almost a decade now. It's crazy to think that social media has been like a thing for over a decade, but it has. And I've been going under that name for such a long time. And for those of you who are curious as to where exactly that name came from, there was a wrestler by the name of Daphne who used to work for WCW and TNA Impact Wrestling. I used to be a huge fan of hers. So what I did was I took the D out of her name and I inserted the J because the J is what starts my real first name, which is Joshua. So that's where the Japhanie came from. And of course, the Quinn slash Quinzel came from Harley Quinn, who is my favorite comic book character of all time. I absolutely adore the woman, and she is pretty much me in white woman form, even though I guess I could probably name about three other white women who I spiritually connect with, but Harley Quinn is the main one. So yeah, that's where the Japhanie Quinn name came from, but unfortunately today will be the official end of that name. Maybe not on Twitter, maybe I'll keep it for a little bit longer, but on here, this channel, it is the official end of the Japhanie Quinzel name. No need to have a funeral because ain't nobody got time for funeral money and ain't nobody got time for funerals in general. So yeah, let's just bury this name and keep it pushing. Yeah. So moving on from that, my official name change and what it is now, it is going to be Yoo-Ah. Yes, you heard that correctly. It is YOO. I was at a hyphen in there, but it really doesn't need a hyphen. But hey, hyphen AH. So Yoo-Ah is going to be my official name from here moving forward. And that name's origin pretty much came from my real name. It's Joshua, and I pretty much just took the Josh out, which is funny because most people usually take the U and the A out. So, and also, funny enough, Yoo-Ah is actually the end part of my name in Japanese. So I always just like the way that it sounded. So I'm like, you know what? I guess I'm gonna keep that. And then, if I'm not mistaken, that's also the end part of the name in Korean as well. But I would have to look that up to be sure because I already know my name is probably a bitch to translate in Korean. So I've always worried about that in case I ever like started to learn Korean. I'm just like, oh god, they are gonna have the probably the roughest time with my name, and I'm gonna have to come up with something different. So hey, I came up with Yoo-Ah, so you guys can start calling me you from here forward. If you do still want to call me Japhanie or Jap, that's fine. But I just hit the table. Sorry about that. But Yeah, my official name and my official podcast name is going to be Yoo-Ah. But if you, like I said, if you guys want to call me Jeff, I'm still fine with that. But I just wanted to let you guys know about the name change. That way, when you saw it on the channel, you weren't like, what the heck happened? So, yeah, now you know. My name from here on out is Yoo-Ah. So we can get rid of the ratchet teenage name of Jaffney, and we can also not have the oh, here's the newscaster Joshua name as well. And that's another thing about my real name. I didn't want to go under that because I feel like it's a little too professional for my liking, which is strange because everybody's like, you want to be professional, but like I want it to be this podcast to be something fun, and I want my name to be something memorable to where when I introduce myself, you end up remembering me. And if your name is you, you're gonna remember that. And it also kind of sucks my name because I already know that at least one person out there is gonna call me a weeb because there's some girl in a K-pop group whose name is Yoo-Ah, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, you copied off of her. You got that name from her. You don't have to lie." And that's not even how you say the last part of your real name. And but it's just like, bro, I came up with this name before I even knew that girl's existence. Not hating on the girl or anything like that, but once I saw her name was Yoo-Ah, I'm just like, motherfucker. Like you go years without seeing that name, and then bam, here she comes, and she's in a prominent group, but I cannot remember the name of the group that she's in. I'm gonna have to look that up probably after I get done with this. But anyways, moving on to the actual format of the podcast now. I think in a prior video, and if you follow me on Twitter, I've discussed this before, but the podcast is basically going to be in a top three countdown format. That is going to be the bulk of this podcast, and that is also going to be just the meat and my main focus of it. So I've already done a polling in multiple places, and I've done one on here, and I believe you might still be able to vote in the poll, but I'm not entirely sure because I think that I accidentally voted in the poll, so I can't see whether or not you can. But if you go into my community tab on YouTube, you should see some options that I've had for first episode ideas. So if you want to vote in that poll still, go ahead and do that. I'm definitely still up for taking feedback, or even if you have something that you would like for me to talk about in the podcast, leave it in the comments, and I will definitely look at it and get back with you. And I promise that I will definitely do that. But I've already decided that the first episode is going to be top three K-pop boy bands. I know that that's something that a lot of you have probably wanted me to talk about for years now, but of course I've been lazy and I haven't taken YouTube as seriously as I should have. But it is finally happening. It's going to be top three K-pop boy bands as the first episode of my official podcast name, Hey You. It's just a little, it's just catchy. I just really like it. Like Hey You. And nobody else has that podcast name from what I've researched. So it's just like, I don't know. It just brings a smile to my face when I think about it. So yeah. So my official name is Yoo-Ah. Gonna be a top three countdown podcast, and my official podcast name is gonna be Hey You. So yeah, I got some important information out of the way in under 10 minutes. I am so surprised. I'm proud of myself. You guys should be proud of me too. I hope that you are, and I hope that this isn't sounding like rambling awkwardness. But hey, that's me. So whatever. But moving on, again to the podcast format. I have had some people in the past tell me that I remind them of Wendy Williams, which I don't know whether or not that's a compliment or not. So yeah, I've had people tell me that before. But so if celebrity news or drama news or K-pop, even K-pop news or anything like that, if news is something that you would like for me to incorporate in the podcast, I am willing to do that. I can probably put it in the first section of the podcast and then move and transition into the top three countdown format, because as of right now, the format is going to be my introduction, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the topic at hand in regards to my introduction to it. So when I talk about the top three K-pop boy bands, before I do that, I'm going to go into how I got into K-pop, my introduction to K-pop boy bands, how it has influenced me and my love of pop culture, and then that is when the actual top three countdown is going to start. And then after that, it's going to be the outro, and then you guys will have something fun to listen to, hopefully. And in regards to like I said, news, if you guys would like for me to do that or add anything else into the podcast, definitely run some ideas by me, and I'm definitely open to whatever you guys would suggest. And hopefully you guys really like it. I'm hoping that this can be a podcast that you guys go to and can listen to, even if it's like 4 episodes past, that you can go back and listen to an old episode and still like love it as if it's the first episode all over again. I'm really hoping that this is an escape mechanism or just an escape from the world, especially now during this craziness, that you guys can just go to my channel, my Spotify or my Apple Music, and then just listen to the podcast and just escape for 30 minutes to an hour and a half, because I don't know how long the podcast is going to be exactly. Y'all know that I love to talk. So, I just really hope that you guys enjoy it. I'm really happy just to actually be doing this now, and the fact that this month is officially going to be the release of the podcast. I'm so hyped. And that is going to lead into also what still needs to be done. I still need an artist, I still need artwork for the channel, and I still also need to come up with a theme song for the podcast. And I did not expect these two things to be the hardest things for me to do. I thought that recording was actually going to be the hardest thing for me, and that's going to be a little difficult because it does get a little loud in my house from every now and then. I do have to record from my house, unfortunately. But it's especially now with this pandemic going on. Oh Jesus, ain't nobody got time to be going outside, baby. But anyways, yeah, I thought that that would be the hardest part, but no, it's actually getting an artist and coming up with a theme song for the podcast. Even though I do have an idea for the theme song, but how I'm actually going to go about crafting it together is going to be a whole nother story in general. So yeah, those are pretty much the last two things that I have to do. And also, oh yeah, I still have to create a Twitter for the podcast, and I also have to give you guys multiple platforms to listen to the podcast. So like I said, my plan as of right now is going to be YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. So if you have any of those three, you should be able to listen to the podcast on those three on the first day that the podcast is released. And if you don't have any of those three and you do have another avenue that you want me to release the podcast on, let me know. Even if you guys like SoundCloud, for example, that might be another good place to release it. If you want me to release it even in another place, I think no, GarageBand is the name of an app. But if you don't have any of those three things, Apple Music, Spotify, or YouTube, in which case I don't even know how you're listening to this video, but run it by me, tell me what you do have, and I will try my hardest to make sure that the podcast is uploaded there, because this podcast really is for you guys, and I want to make sure that we have as much fun here, that we build a wonderful community here of just dope ass, LGBTQ friendly, people of color friendly, just friendly people. I just really want this to be a place where not only you guys get to listen to something every now and then, but also where you guys can hopefully make a community of people. Because one reason why I decided to do a top 3 countdown is because it's opinion based. So even though you may not agree with me, you may say, hey, TVXQ isn't the best K-pop band of all time. It's actually CSJH The Grace, and here's why. It'll get a discussion started in the comments, and you'll find mutual people who love them as well. And baby, The Grace are my shit. Don't even. Whew, if we ever do a top 3 K-pop girl groups episode, spoiler alert, they will probably be in the top 3. So don't even get me started on them, because they are just the perfect. If only they came out now, they would be just whew, baby. But anyways, God, I went on a fanboy tangent for a second. But anyways, yeah, like I said, I just hope that this podcast really creates a community for you guys, and that hopefully you can make some new friends, just like K-pop did for me. And I'm hoping that we ride this journey together and we just have a blast. I'm really excited to finally get this thing out this month. It's gonna be a blast. And if you need to contact me in regards to anything, you can contact me here. You can contact me on my Twitter, which is Jaffney_Quinn, which is JAFFNEY_QUINN. If you want to get to know me a little bit before the podcast, if you want to talk to me, if you want to run anything by me, then, just follow me there and at me or DM me or whatever, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And the podcast also does have an official email. It is going to be heyyoopodcast@gmail.com, which is HEYYOOPODCAST at gmail.com. So if you want to email me there, and I will also put it in the script, blah, 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 in the description box as well. I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say, but I will put it in the description box as well. So if you want to run artwork by me, or even if you are a music producer and you want to do a theme song for the podcast. Run it by me. I do have PayPal, so that was going to be my main avenue of paying you. But any creative work that you do for me, I am going to pay you. That's not an if, an and, or a but. And I'm not going to debate you about your rates. Your rates are your rates. You are the one creating for me. So if you have to be like, bitch, it's going to be $20 a minute, here you go, pay it or not, then hey, that's on you. I mean, I may pop off on you for calling me a bitch, but I mean, your rates are your rates. You know what you're worth, and I'm willing to pay you what you're worth if I want to work with you. And so yeah, the podcast has officially been unveiled. Yay. In the future, I am going to be making a video that is going to unveil the artwork of the podcast and also a theme song of the podcast. But like I said, the official podcast is going to be coming this month. I will be releasing the release date very soon. You might even be getting it sometime next week. Mm-hmm. Be very excited. But yeah, like I said, I'm just happy to be going down this avenue. I'm happy to finally be taking this path. And I hope that you guys follow me during this path. And I hope that you are excited for the first episode, my top 3 K pop boy bands, with a very obvious number 1. And I also hope that you are very, very excited for this next video that's coming up right after this. You guys are going to love it. All right. Bye bye.